utilization is about 40%, I can easily share up to 70% or so. After that, maybe I can't share anymore. We need to upgrade. But I think our utilization is fairly normal and high. The only utilization at the moment, which is very poor, is the utilization on our new equipment, the LTE equipment, because now we're failing to get customer premises equipment. The need is there. It's only that we're struggling to get the customer premises equipment to give to people so that the utilization comes up. So that's something that we are working on. That's something that we're struggling with, and that's something that we hope that if also members of this Augusta House can assist with through the powers that be, then it helps, so that we get it and we utilize the capital equipment that we've put down. And then yeah, there was the last question. I trust this is the last question that came in this page, which said, how do you want to be assisted? Yes, I'm not a finance person. I'm just a business person. But I would like our pricing. I've heard from the financial gurus, I've been reading in the newspaper that the pricing model should not track the exchange rate. At the moment, because the cost component of our capex is about 90% forex, is definitely affected by the exchange rate. So where I might want to be assisted is if there had been an automatic mechanism based on the bank rate, that if that component that is highly composed of forex if that component is allowed to track the exchange rate, because that's how I'm going to pay back. For example, VSAT. There's no other way. I get it as an end product, I sell it as an end product. If I can be allowed, we have made presentations to porters, and we will continue to make those presentations. But if those high forex-based products are allowed to track their exchange rate, which is official in the bank, it goes a long way to help towards meeting our requirements. I would like to believe that I've answered, but if there is no question, there's another question I haven't answered, I'll stand advised. Honorable Chair, through the Chair, all I can say is we're in trouble because we haven't been paying. We owe. That's why our money is queuing. That's why we've got 220 that has been queuing, that we've been applying to close that gap.
Those figures that are published in the papers by the Tarrifs of forex that is being sold through banks, have you tried to buy also from them?
Sorry, from?
I think on a daily basis we see the Tarrifs publicizing figures of forex that is being traded.
Yes, we have submitted.
You have not been successful?
No.
Zero.
Zero. This is what I'm advised by my team.
Because that facility, I think, is there for a month now.
Yeah, we zero for us. You know what? Of course, I'm speaking on behalf of Liquid Telecom. Yeah, that one. Yeah, she's acknowledging that. Yes, that one. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that one, where they first stated the rate at 2.5 and market forces theoretically determine where the rate goes. We have submitted several applications through all of our banks. We have not accessed a single cent.
Was this a once-off deal, or we are going to be regularly buying the cars?
Yeah, Honorable, this deal was structured between two entities, agreed on the modalities. The continuous settlement of us riding on their network is based on the usage of the data that we're giving them for free. So that was a once-off. Sorry.
Are you paying them with free data?
It's not free. What we are doing.
Are you paying them with data? Sorry.
Yes, it's a barter deal.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, we did that the vehicles and the equipment that we bought, was a once-off, but they will last for as long as it lasts. I mean, as much as the agreement also has a termination date.
So help us to understand this. So the data that you are paying, is it the data that they use at Zesa, or they are also selling data?
No, it's not data, sorry. It's connectivity that they require for maintenance of their equipment, for running their equipment, for usage, and for monitoring their equipment. They are not selling data. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Makamure, for the exposition. I would like to make a clarification on the aspect of cost, because various costs on users. You were talking about the requirement of 30,000 liters of diesel for the two generators and your nodes. You're not entered into service level agreements with ZESA on the provision of power to be as a means of limiting the number of generators and also the diesel requirement. The diesel requirement in these nodes. Then my other question is with respect to customer premises equipment, which cannot be bought because of shortage of foreign currency. Will equipment that's supposed to work with that equipment not get obsolete before we buy it? What are the implications on our business? Thank you.
Maybe I can follow up on what Honorable Commissioner has been asking on the issue of the fuel that you need. Maybe you touched something on your submission, but I just want to know how you are managing to meet your fuel demand every month.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the presenter for a comprehensive presentation. In fact, because of this presentation, Chair, I've written down 7 questions, but also the questions from members made me cancel out all of them. So I'd like to congratulate them for that. But I'd also like to thank them for highlighting their successes, and particularly the positive attitude to infrastructure sharing, and pointing out some of their successes in that regard. The innovation that they showed in the deal with ZESA is perhaps a model that could be adopted by others. But I'd like to know particularly how the last mile agreement, the uptake of the last mile agreement is going. Is it being successful in terms of connecting to the end user? Well, I noticed you talked about the last mile agreements to reaching end users. Is there uptake from other players to share with you? Has that program been successful? And also in terms of the co-location improve quality. Also, congratulate them for connecting clinics. Is that being done as a service to the community, or are they being charged with commercial prices? But certainly, that kind of approach would help if it is, if it is expanded. It would help service the people who really need connectivity to save lives, and so that even when your costs go up, one can justify the fact that what you're also doing is you are providing a social safety net for the country. Is there any intention of rolling out that program on a broader basis, or you connected those clinics and a few other institutions, and that's it? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would like through you to thank Mr. Makamure and the team for their presentation. I have quite a number of questions, and I hope that I was slow enough for the team to be able to pick that up. The first one that
oh, sorry.
The first one is the description of the 3.5%. In your report, you described 3.5% universal service fee as part of your overheads. In that context, I would have expected to see 14.5% VAT as your overhead, because my understanding of the Universal Service Fund is that it is actually not a cost to your business. You are acting as a collection agent on behalf of the Universal Services Fund, and this is why you just pass on that cost to the consumer. You actually lose nothing as a business. It's like paying VAT. So VAT can't be a direct cost because you're collecting from somebody to pass it on to somebody. So could you perhaps explain your own understanding and appreciation of the 3.5% universal service fee, because for all intents and purposes, you actually charge it onto the consumer and pass it on to the Universal Services Fund. I also went through the report. You mentioned the fact that you source bandwidth from undersea cables. Do you source this bandwidth directly from the undersea cables, or you source them from liquid Mauritius? Do you go out in the open market to buy bandwidth, or you are corporately forced to buy from associate companies of liquid? The reason I ask is that we need to clear the impression or perception that has been created that you buy from a related party in Mauritius at an increased price, which ends up making the cost higher to Zimbabwe than it actually should be. So this would be a good opportunity to clear that perception or misperception. The issue of infrastructure sharing. So before we move to infrastructure sharing, this bandwidth, how are you pricing it? Because you see, yesterday we had presentations from operators. The MNOs were saying, we need foreign currency, and one of the foreign currency requirements was towards data, bandwidth. But you have said in this presentation that you're actually not charging the local companies in Forex. But the operators themselves are saying, we need more funds from Reserve Bank because we want to pay for bandwidth. So it will be good to understand, because it appears there's a queue for foreign currency at the Reserve Bank by some people who genuinely don't need it and are already getting this bandwidth or data from yourselves. And then the issue of infrastructure sharing. It's quite a contradiction, actually. My understanding is that Liquid is 51% owned by Econet Zimbabwe. Liquid Zimbabwe is owned 51% by Econet Zimbabwe. Econet Zimbabwe, in their presentation yesterday, and I can talk about it then because you are a related party, they are your shareholder, say that they prefer sharing infrastructure on a one-to-one basis. You give us one tower, we also give you one of our towers. The question now becomes, you are getting ZTTDC infrastructure in order to lay overhead fiber optic. What are you offering ZTTDC apart from the cars? Frankly speaking, if you say you gave them cars, I think that can be valued in terms of cash outlay and recovered in terms of the charges between the two of you as businesses. What other value that is long term that are you offering to the state entity that has got the infrastructure which you are using to put your overhead cables? It will also be interesting to understand your perspective and the nature of your agreement with ZTTDC, because it appears your agreement with ZTDC is blocking a subsidiary of ZESA, which is PowerTel, to also use the same infrastructure, which is quite confusing. That Liquid, as a private company, has access to power pylons that are owned by the government through the TTDC. And PowerTel, which is in the same business as yours, which is a government-owned company, is being denied access to the use of the same power pylons. What is the nature of your agreement that blocks other entities, particularly entities that are owned by the government, to use the same infrastructure? You mentioned in education that you have the country pretty much covered, either by or by satellite. I just wanted to know what is preferable, what is efficient, what is cost-effective, fiber or the satellite. The other question is regarding shareholder changes. There have been reports in media that the British government, or a sovereign wealth fund owned by the British government, is now a big investor in Liquid. Does this affect the structure of the business in Zimbabwe? To what extent? And what advantages do you think can be obtained by having a sovereign wealth fund of the British government investing in your business? I was going to ask the issue of forex allocation and the 3 million requirement, but I think it has been adequately asked, and the predicament you find yourself in is quite synonymous with the kind of presentations we were getting yesterday. This will conclude my question, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I must also confess that I'm a little bit uncomfortable and worried about the barter trade agreement, because maybe what we need is maybe to request through Mr. Makamure to then submit to us that agreement by Friday, so
are two private players. I know, of course, it involves ZETC, in which we have an interest. And maybe we could attack that agreement from that angle, from the ZETC angle, to say, why did we enter into such an agreement? But the way it was unpaid, I don't think this agreement is being reduced to say we bought them cars. But that's not what was presented.
Yeah,
Maybe if you could.
There's cars and also there's data.
I think it's not really data in the way that they put it. Maybe if you could go through that part of this presentation again, so that we really hear what the agreement is all about.
Mr. Chairman, can I just maybe elaborate what understanding I wanted to get? The issue is that ZETDC or ZESA is a 100% owned subsidiary that does exactly the same things that Liquid does, which is PowerTel. And then ZETDC decides to sign a deal with Liquid and not with PowerTel. The primary reason why PowerTel was established was to do exactly what Liquid was hired to do. That PowerTel is now in the market selling its services to other consumers is secondary to its primary objective. Its primary objective was to provide the links between substations so ZESA can be able to do what they're now able to do with the infrastructure that Liquid has put in place. So the understanding I'm seeking is what was happening to Liquid, what was happening to PowerTel, and what is very interesting, and I think that it is a good point that we must cite the agreement, is why is it now almost impossible for Tel1, which is 100% owned by the government, to use the same ZETDC infrastructure? And the reason they can't use is because they say we have an agreement with Liquid. But it just beats the whole concept of infrastructure sharing. We should not care whether Liquid has already, everyone who can should also put Mawaya. So it is important, I think, the point that you raised, that maybe we should have sight of the agreement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
The chair is one who recognizes I think in all
questioning me of apologies, honorable members, sub-honorable members, questioning me on the issues that they should question ZETDC. This was a commercial agreement between the private sector and the public company. And in that agreement, firstly, let me explain that what ZETDC, for example, is getting, which is on the name, is capacity for the duration of the agreement. And in that capacity, at this point in time, I can tell you that there are a number of pairs of fiber that they are afforded for their wireless. So that's the nature of the agreement. Then, one other thing that I can answer on my part is Liquid Telecom. Is Liquid Telecom does not have exclusivity. There is a misconception, as one of the honorable members said. Please correct misconception. This is a misconception. There is no here very clear. There has never been exclusivity on this agreement. It's pure. We are the agreement through a number of stipulated fiber pairs, and there is value in that capacity. So that's the nature of that agreement. And I don't know if I need to go further to explain on anything else, because as you appreciate, this is a commercial agreement between two parties, and the only thing that I might say, which might also be important for this Augusta House to understand, is at the point that this thing was done, Liquid Telecom was very, very focused on digging, and we were digging and trenching and putting our fibers on the ground. I did happen to meet members from ZESA and ZTTDC, and I just want to give you background to how this started. There's what is called Southern Africa Power Pool. That I'm only telling you the bit that I know from my side. And I understand there was challenges because ZESA or ZTDC were failing to connect points that Southern Africa Power Pool required to connect. So within the premise of that discussion, I then said, we could help you if I have access to lay my fiber on there. So that was the origins. I'm not saying that's the premise, but that was the origins. So that's how it started. And like any other agreement, there is always a premise where you start from. Then you go on to mutual agreement and mutual benefits. So that's how it's structured. I cannot answer for ZTTDC. I cannot answer for what ZTDC said to anybody or did not say to anybody. This you called me as Liquid Telecommunications, and I'm answering Liquid Telecommunications.
Mr. Makamure, I think the reason why the members are asking is because you raised it here.
Yes.
And it's not that they want you to speak on behalf of countries. We will follow it up with them. But if you raise something during our meetings here, the members are entitled, in terms of the Constitution, to ask for more information.
Okay.
It's not that they are questioning why you entered into that agreement. No.
Okay.
They just want to be satisfied that in terms of infrastructure share, there is also value for money for public entities that is in that. So, but I think let's proceed it this way. I'll seek a legal opinion on how we can get about the agreement. Then we will communicate to you later on. If it's still necessary to don't get obviously we might then need to talk to PowerTel and their current company. But I think I want us to park this matter for now so that we can proceed with our discussion. But I must assure you, Mr. Makamure, that these honorable members, I don't think anyone has any other motive when they're asking other than just getting out their normal parliamentary duties. And myself as the chairperson, my duty is to protect you as our guest here at Parliament and also protect my members of the committee so that we conduct this discussion in a professional manner. So I will give my highest assurance that we always conduct ourselves in a professional manner. So you don't need to be worried. So I think let's see this there any questions that we asked which were not answered?
Yes,
You still have that was just one aspect. Or that was one. So maybe you can proceed, Mr. Makamure.
Thank you very much. I'll try and go in order, and if I skip any, please stand advised to come back and answer. There was a question on costs.
Sorry, before you ask, I suppressed I don't know whether you are happy with the way you resolve
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Chair. I'll continue. There was, I think, a question that came up on power outages and whether we've got an SLA with ZESA and how what do we do to manage fuel demand. Unfortunately, we don't have an SLA with ZESA. I'm sure, as is common knowledge, sometimes when faults occur, there is a power cut. And hence, that's the reason why we have had to put these double-horned generators on sites. It was only after experience when we realized that, yes, there is the actual fact that there are power cuts. And so we have to protect the network and to ensure that the service availability is maintained. So unfortunately, we don't have an SLA, and even if we did, we would still need to protect the network so that it still continues to be efficient. Then there was also another question on CPE and obsolete. Well, like I said, we are working. We even in this presentation, obviously, we do hope that if we do get support in one way or the other through the Augusta House, we can get CPE equipment. What I can assure the Augusta House is when we do plan and to lay out equipment and to develop telecommunications, which we think is important, it's all in good spirit, it's all with a good plan, it's all with good intentions. This shortage and this situation is like a spanner in the works. I'm sure we didn't envisage that, neither did anyone else, maybe within the Honorable House. So it's a fact that we're facing now. We would not want to get to a point where when we buy equipment anyway, we buy the latest that is there. It's got a life that we're sure and hopeful that this economy is going to turn around, and as it turns around, we'll have capacity to buy CPEs and we'll have capacity to utilize it. So that is my hope. I'm a very positive person, and I'm sure if we put all our heads together, there is going to be an upturn one way or the other, and we will be able to utilize this equipment. Then there was the issue of last mile co-location and how successful. Yes, it does help. Co-location does help in terms of cutting costs. I can't quantify it now, but I think it goes back to the question that was asked by another honorable member previously on infrastructure sharing. It does help, like I said. It does cut costs. It might be as it picks up, because you know there must be traction. When you do infrastructure sharing, there will be traction one way or the other. As you get more traction, as you get more people to share with you, obviously the costs become lower. But whatever is co-located, whatever is shared at the moment is helping. And then there was a further question on or commendation, and I thank the honourable member also who brought that up, commended us on our works on connectivity to clinics, as well as even our initiative to have PPs, public-private partnerships, because at least I would like to believe that government and this Augusta House would want to see more of partnerships which help to alleviate the situation in our country. I think the honorable member who thanked us for that, it made my day. Thank you very much. But in terms of connection on clinics, yes, when we did that, the connection that I mentioned, it was in passing. We did it with another player. So while it was meant for a commercial basis, which is not really being paid, I won't go into the details, but not paid by the clinics, it helped a situation. It helped a catastrophe. But what we are doing, I would like to highlight now, is as Liquid, apart from that, I just mentioned that because there is a situation, a tragedy that's facing us at this point in time. We have been doing that from the day that we got established. From Muzarabani, Merengwa, a lot of places, we've been connecting clinics and giving them free connectivity. And we're still continuing. We've been doing that big time. We've been connecting schools and giving them free Wi-Fi. As I speak now, we also worked with 10 universities, and it's a program that's ongoing. We have actually connected 20, I think, yeah, it's now 20 universities and colleges where we have given them free Wi-Fi as part of corporate social responsibilities and our commitment to the advancement of education and connectivity and I mean the access to information. We have connected to date 20 universities and colleges, 200 schools or more, several clinics. So this is an ongoing exercise that Liquid has been doing, and I'm glad to have the opportunity at least to share that with the Augusta House, because basically what we've been doing is we've been doing it quietly. We haven't been doing that for publicity. That's why we never heard about it, because it's just corporate responsibility, and we feel if we do that and the community that we serve benefits, that's good enough. That's our intention. So yes, we've been doing that and we will continue. It's actually an issue which is very top of our radar. Just to mention also, further to that, we on Thursday there was a fundraising function that was done at the Mikros Hotel called Reboot, Rebuild, and several corporates came in. We pledged $5 million, which is RTGS, which we are going to use to help in Chimanimani to rebuild schools, to rebuild everything that was destroyed, and to give computers and re-equip those schools. So we have pledged already $5 billion, because what we feel is not only are we going to restore them to where they are, we want to empower them by then providing even those that didn't have computers and equipment or connectivity to have connectivity, so that we have, out of this disastrous situation, we have life. So that's something that we did as recently as Thursday. So it's a continuous process. Then there was another question on build, of course. Now I can't remember. I don't know if it's proper for me to ask. I think it was a question which was maybe asking whether we were passing on. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. It's now it's a question that was asked by. Honorable Mandiwanzira. Now I remember. Yes, when we mentioned, or as we mentioned, the issue of USF and Potras, it's only on the basis that we are in the same sector. Of course, we didn't mention VAT because that's well, not that it's outside the sector. It affects everybody. But yes, it was when we were talking about the build-up of costs. So when we take it and we pass it on, we were just highlighting that it's a cost that the end user will incur. So he is correct and you would be correct because he was my former minister. He would know, and he would know it even better because he was in charge of the sector. He was in charge of the sector, not only us, but in charge of porters as well. So yes, that's correct. It's a cost that we're passing on. That's okay. And then there was an issue on bandwidth. Now, at Liquid Telecom, we have a group procurement, and group procurement is not limited to, like I mentioned initially, to fiber. It's not limited. The fiber that we buy, the fiber that we buy, the equipment that we buy, and all the services that we provide, anything that can be procured through group is procured through group, and this covers also bandwidth costs. We as Liquid, I don't really go out to look for bandwidth. I like just like my equipment on group procurement. Start delving into quality of service, which will maybe compromise or affect our quality of service. So we are not buying from any local company or supplier. We do depend on our, even on our network, even when we buy our even from everywhere. That was also
Even if the procurement from a local supplier will give you an advantage of currency where you don't need to go to reserve bank to look for a currency, you can't buy it from a local supplier because of quality issues.
That's why they get the close. So I think on that one, it's understandable.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think so, because I think the point I'm trying to bring out is the issue of transfer pricing. Also, sir.
Then, speaking of it, what I didn't buy,
Thank you. I apologize, Mr. Chairman. It is the issue of potential transfer pricing, where Liquid Zimbabwe would have procured bandwidth, say at a price of 20 cents per megabyte. But because they have to procure through a group structure, they buy from themselves. The price they eventually buy at is probably 36 cents. Now, what that means is that we have taken out 36 cents out of the economy, US dollars, which we are desperate for, when we should have actually taken out 20 cents. And I'm saying there has been a perception or misperception about that. And that is what I thought would be a fantastic opportunity for Mr. Makamure to explain